In this tutorial, I'm going to cover different types of lists. There's 3 I'm going to focus on specifically. The first is an item list, which is a list of things that are not products or services. These can be everything from a list of top 20 songs, a directory of businesses, recipe ingredients, song playlist. Think of it just as a list of things that are not products or services. The second type of list I'm going to talk about is an offer catalog. So this is the type of list that contains services and products. This can be maybe a page that's about like all the relaxed denim types of jeans, or a page that's like about types of services offered, or maybe the top 10 SEO tools. These are all the things that are being listed are things that you can purchase or that are on offer. And then the third type is actually a page type. It's called a collection page. And these collection pages often contain lists of items. So if you can think of the collection page contains an item list or it can contain an offer catalog. And these collection pages can be actually the same as the item lists or the offer catalogs. It really just depends on what you want to say about them and sort of how you want to define them in the schema markup. So let's look at a couple examples of what I mean just to make it a bit easier to understand. So we're looking here at the definition from schema.org for an item list. Again, it's talking about top 10 movies about weathermen or 100 party songs. An example of where you would use this or apply this would be sort of, just like they said, a top 20 or a list. And anytime you have here a top 20 Christmas songs you never get sick of, you'd want to make sure that you have the order because they start with number 20, and you'd want to make sure in your schema markup that you're clear about the order that they're in. Next, if we look at an offer catalog, this is again a list of items that have an offering, so a product or a service. And so if you were to look at, let's say, Schema Apps products, our product page would include, those types of products. So for example, it would list our Schema app, our WooCommerce plugin, our analytics, and our enterprise solutions. The collection page is then a web page that can contain a list or sort of, and you can see sort of by the collection page, there's quite a bit more properties that you can use to describe it. And so in this case, if you have a page that's about a lot of detail and you want to be able to be really, really specific about what it's about, you'd use a collection page and then you'd make the main entity your item or your item list or your offer catalog. And so in this case, for example, if you wanted to, here we had a directory of CSAs or community supported agriculture farms. And so here they could actually make it a collection page and describe that it's about CSAs. And then they would need to put a listing order because they would just sort of say that this is an item list containing these different local businesses. To give you a more advanced example, you could also look at a service page. So for example, this page is about mortgage services, and it sort of calls out some specialties. And so in this case, in the structured data, it would be a page about services, and it would actually have an offer catalog with the different list items for those services. So again, it's a services page because that's what the page is about, and then has an item list that is sort of contains all the services it offers. Okay, so let's go say, now Martha, how do I do this in Schema App? So for this tutorial, we're going to use the Schema App products page. And based on our definitions we just went through, this will be made up as an offer catalog. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is actually do the markup for each of your different products that are in here. This will make it much easier. And so I'm going to assume that you've done that following other tutorials. And so in Schema App, you've listed out sort of Schema App, WooCommerce plugin, Semantic Analytics, and Enterprise Solutions. And then we'll go into Schema App and say, okay, I've created all my products. Now I want to create my offer catalog. So I'm going to go ahead and search for offer catalog and then go ahead and create a new one. And we're going to call this the Schema App products page. So in order to have that deployed automatically, you're going to go ahead and enter the URL. And then click OK. So you can see the first thing I want to do is add my item list, and it says I can have anything or a list item. Now, because my page is including of products and I've already created those products, I'm just going to go ahead and search in Schema app for the products I've already created. Now, if you had services, you could also do the same, and I'll show an example later about how you would do a list item. So here we're going to have, so it's Schema app is one of them, and then we'll do Schema app Analytics, Enterprise Solutions, and I need one more for our WooCommerce plugin. So now I've gone ahead and said these are all my additional lists. Now you can use these other properties in order to describe the page further. So starting at the top, you can see a description. I'll go ahead and say Schema app offers 4 distinct products listed here. If there's a way that you want to describe these further, so if you want to clarify what type of list it is, you could use the additional type field and use a Wikipedia lookup. And so maybe I'll put something, I'll look up schema markup. Let's see if it's in Wikipedia. Yep, microdata. So this is an offer catalog really about schema markup. So we'll go ahead and add that in. If you had an image on your page, you could go ahead and include that here, again, by either pasting the URL or creating an image object. So let's go back to our products page. Maybe we'll just put our logo, since that is sort of one of the primary things on the page. So we'll go ahead and put that in the editor. If you get this drop down where it says untyped resource, that's fine. Just go ahead and click on that. What it means is you're not just defining a specific schema markup class for it. And because image takes URL, it's totally fine. Item list order. So this is where you can do a drop down of ascending, descending, or unordered. This one's just unordered. And then go ahead, number of items. This one has 4. Same as or URL, if that makes sense. So for the URL, we do have a URL since we have the page that it's listed on. And so we'll go ahead and add that in there, and we'll click Save Changes. Now it's saying here it is looking for a canonical URL of the page, as well as it's looking for numeric positions in the list. I've chosen to make this unordered. We've seen in the structured data tester that generally it's not looking for an order. But if there's a specific order you need, like a top 20 list, or maybe a recipe, ingredients or steps, or a song list where the order is important, then go ahead and include that. So now I've gone ahead and done my offer catalog. And here you can see I didn't really have to do anything else because I already had my products listed. Now, if you wanted to add some more detail, you could create a collection page and then associate that offer catalog to it. So let's go ahead and do that in Schema app. Again, you put the URL if you have the actual collection page. In this case, I'm just doing a demo, so I don't have a URL there that I want to deploy the code to. So on the collection page, I now have the opportunity to have all these different properties to describe what the collection page is about. And so again, there's nothing that's specifically required or recommended, but you might say, like, what is it about, and define that with Wikipedia. You might also, let's say the collection page does have an aggregate rating on your page, so you'd want to go ahead and include that. It might also be that there's a producer or a provider, which is your organization, and you can tie it this way. The way you tie these together is through the main entity. And what you're going to do here is look for that offer catalog that you created. And so I think I called it Schema app products. Yeah, products page. And then I go ahead and collect it this way. So now what you're saying is that here's some definition of what this page is about and what the collection page is about. And the main entity is this offer catalog, which I've described and tied to the products through the offer catalog step I did previously. So that's how you go ahead and mark up a page that has multiple products on it, either keeping it basic by doing just the offer catalog, or if you want to add even more additional detail using the collection page. If you're interested in the item list, please watch our subsequent video about how to create an item list.